What's up guys, it's BenImparts here. Welcome back to yet another episode of this Cryptid Cast series where we break down cryptids, their sightings, their possibilities, what they could or couldn't be and if they could be real or not. And today we have the Gumberoo, a cryptid that's meant to be uncommon but nevertheless quite well known in its region and said to be thoroughly authenticated, although I'm about to dispute this. It's said in the book Fearsome Critters by Henry H. Treon that Paul Bunyan, the giant lumberjack and hero in American and Canadian folklore, often met them in upside down country. Bunyan was a story made up by French Canadians during the Papineau Rebellion of 1837, when they were fighting against England. This would actually explain why the mythical Bunyan's last name is Bunyan in the first place, because Bunyan sounds very much like the French-Canadian word boyen, which is something they might say when they're surprised, like how English people might say, oh my god. Those legends state that when Bunyan was born, it took 3 storks to carry him. When he became older, he broke every window in the house when he even clapped or laughed. When he was 7 months old, he sawed the legs off his parents' bed, and Paul and his friend Babe the Blue Ox dug the Grand Canyon when Paul was carrying his axe and dragging it behind him. So as you can see here, this is one of those lumberjack cryptids, you're about to see that in a moment, that combines human mythology with cryptid mythology in a way that's absolutely audacious and hilarious. And it's even more audacious and hilarious because people actually take it seriously. Henry H. Treon, who wrote Fearsome Critters in 1939, a book I can't recommend enough, claimed Bunyan described this creature, this Gumberoo, as, quote, a pot-bellied body, almost exactly like the bunkhouse stove, even to the umbilical damper, and covered with a very tight, tough, black, shiny skin. A pair of long, powerful monkey-like forearms, and a little round head with no neck. His head sits right down on his shoulders like a hop toad in a cold spot. He's got 3 bow rear legs, each with a club foot clutching an iron ball, same as an iron stove. There's no speed in these here rear legs, but they're handy for weighting dumps. For real travel, he's got 8 pairs of strong, springy legs, set around his middle. He's plenty rapid on those. He'll go to a hilltop, swinging from branch to branch with his 4 legs, then toss himself out a rod or 2, landing sideways on his middle legs, and rolling over and over down the hill, moving faster than the eye can see. That's why he's so rarely observed. The hides from the middle legs used to make this fine waterproof boots, but they're pretty scarce now. So we've got a creature with a pot-bellied body that looks like a bunkhouse stove, even has an umbilical damper, is covered with tight black shiny skin, has a pair of long powerful monkey forearms, a little round head, no neck, 3 bowed rear legs, a clawed foot clutching an iron ball. This is one of those outrageous cryptids that you think there's almost no way it can exist. Stranger things have happened. I could be wrong. But it's so bizarre, and its motion is so incredible, and it's so audacious in the way it's described that there's almost no way it can exist, unless, of course, it is something that's not quite a cryptid per se. Which gets me to the section, what could this Gumberoo be? Well, almost certainly it is not a real thing. It's very clearly a lumberjack legend, and in turn, it's inspired by another legend, because Paul Bunyan clearly did not exist in any way, shape or form. However, could someone have seen a genie, aka a djinn, aka a shapeshifter, aka a spirit guide? Could someone have seen one of the people of the unseen taking on some kind of bizarre form? Could that be what accounts for it? That's very possible, but overall I think this is definitely a legend told by lumberjacks around the campfire. For some other details, the Gumberoo is usually found in lands that are burnt for some reason, and it's practically indestructible. Bullets will absolutely just totally bounce off it, but heat makes them swell and explode, which is fascinating, because it's a lot like the Funeral Mountain Terror Shot. In case you haven't seen my previous video, the Terror Shot is a creature that looks like a walking coffin from the Funeral Mountains in California, and it will often try and migrate through the desert, but then will explode due to the desert heat, and it also looks like an appliance. So you have these 2 cryptids that look like appliances marching smartly through the desert and exploding. And it said that one S.W. Allen actually photographed this Gumberoo, but the negative exploded. I'm not sure if it's because the heat from his camera somehow was influenced by the Gumberoo, if something about the Gumberoo somehow disagreed with the camera visually, but either way it exploded. But what do you guys think? Have any of you ever met one of these creatures? Do you know anyone who has? Do you know any old tales? Please leave those in the comment section under my video on the Beast of Busco. Someone actually commented that they'd seen giant turtles before, and there were large ones out there, and it started a fascinating exchange. And with that, I invite you to stay tuned for the next episode.